Hello and welcome back to Not Just Another Fat Girl. This is Kristen, aka your resident fat girl. And so over the past few weeks, I have recorded videos. I just have not uploaded them. I can't really put my finger on it, just something hasn't truly felt right with them. But I'm beginning to think that maybe that's just me. I have so much going on in my life, and at this point in time, I'm kind of struggling to balance everything and to cope with everything. And I'm being pushed in ways that I never have before. And that's definitely saying something because I have not had the easiest life. This is really funky funk, just like sitting here just in the silence there. But I guess my big thing and kind of the whole reason why I'm even saying this in a video is that we all go through periods where it's so much we can't even process it at that point in time, and it takes some time for our minds to process what we react to immediately emotionally. And so there's kind of this imbalance where you feel just so off kilter for weeks at a time sometimes, until they kind of catch up with each other. And that's sort of what I've been going through the last few weeks, because I've had so much happen, so much going on around me, so much change happening in my life. And I'm not saying that all of it is bad change, but it's definitely been a lot. And I'm still struggling to just cope with it, to come to terms with it all. I am one where I fully embrace change for the most part. And before I sought change. I actively sought change in my life on so many occasions. And previously I had felt, it was cathartic in a way, just forcing that fresh start. But this time it's so much change. And some of it I initiated myself, and other pieces I didn't. And when I initiated it myself, I didn't know the other changes were coming. And so I ended up overwhelming myself, and I am still overwhelmed. I am still struggling sometimes. And that's also contributing to my lack of eating sometimes. It's contributing to so much. And I don't want to hide that part of me who thinks she is Superwoman, who tells herself that she is Superwoman, that she should be able to handle everything, but then she has little moments of weakness where she cracks. Because I do. For the most part, I am very, very strong. I can handle a lot. I am that person that everybody goes to, that everybody kind of lumps their things onto on top of what I already have. But I do get overwhelmed. I do break down sometimes, and it's never out in the open. I really don't cry in front of people. Like, if I have cried in front of you, that says a lot. If you're going through a rough time, if you're having a hard time dealing with the changes that are coming so quickly, if you are struggling to process something that, your significant other just dropped on you, if you are struggling with a new role in your career at your job, if you are trying to decide your entire future in the span of 2 weeks, I get it. I know what you're going through. You are not alone. We all get stressed. We all get overwhelmed. And you are allowed to need a moment to yourself. You are allowed to need some time to process everything. And during that time, you really have to be forgiving with yourself. And that's something that I keep forgetting. On my journey to self-love, I knew I was going to have to forgive myself a lot. And I did. And I do for the most part. I forgive myself all the time because sweet cherry pie, I am so far from perfect, it's not even funny. I make mistakes all day, every day. I am very human. But when it comes to the bigger things, I expect so much from myself because everybody else expects so much from me. Everybody has always expected so much from me, but never given the same in return. And that is where I so often drop the ball, is in being forgiving with myself when it involves somebody else. Being forgiving with myself when it involves accepting something that I cannot change but have not yet accepted. There are so many situations. We are all a work in progress. We really are. I know I've said that to y'all before, but what your present is, what you are facing right now, what you are trying to cope and to deal with right now, is not going to be what you're trying to cope and deal with a year from now, or at least I hope it's not. It's temporary, and that's what I have to remind myself sometimes. It's temporary, and it is only here for as long as I take to work through it and to move beyond it. So it's something where we have far more control than we think we do, because we can't change what happens to us. We can't control what other people say or do to us, every life event, but we can always, always, always control how we react, how we respond to it. And in particular, I know I have control over how I react, how I respond to everything that I'm facing right now. And I know some of it I'm not responding well to. And that's where I'm really, really hard on myself, because I expect a certain level of control, of self-control, of personal representation. I hold myself to a certain standard, and I expect myself to be even-keeled and consistent and to be stable and reliable in that person that everybody can go to, because I don't snap. I don't do knee-jerk reactions. I don't respond illogically, I guess, is the best way to say it. But lately, that has really been tried and tested by the things that I'm facing. And slowly, I will make videos about them and kind of reveal those things to you. But I really just wanted to focus on, reassuring you that if you are going through the same, if you are going through a lot of changes, if you are having a hard time processing or accepting, the things that are happening in your life, you are not alone. And there are some moments when I literally just have to stop and take a deep breath and go minute by minute. I'm learning to take things a day at a time. I am having to relearn that You can push yourself when it comes to certain things, but you can only control the way that you respond to things. So just understand what you do and don't have control over in this life, in your circumstances and everything. What you do have control over, actively, work on responding and handling it the way that you want to. But also just try to be gentle with yourself, because I will be the first to admit that right now I am a little fragile. And doesn't mean that I'm weak. It doesn't mean that I am any less strong. It just means that I'm a little more fragile than normal. Yeah. You are no less weak than you were before. The same weaknesses that you had before are the same weaknesses that you have now. And if you want them to change, you have to actively work on changing them. If you want anything to change, you have to actively work on changing what you can about the situation, the circumstances, whatever. And if it's just coming down to you processing it, well, for me, it is Starbucks, a notepad and paper, like a notepad and a pen. Just me, my coffee, my thoughts, true reflection. And that is usually followed after, this is going to be a little religious here, but for me, it follows after having some one-on-one time with God. So, yeah. Because He sees the greater picture that I can't see. At least not yet anyways. So, I hope that whatever it is that you're facing, that you are taking it as you can. A little at a time sometimes, a lot at a time sometimes, but you're taking it as you feel capable of taking it. You're processing it in your own time. There's no shame in not being able to handle something the second it happens. There's no shame in needing some time or some space to truly reflect on things and to ensure that the perspective and the reaction that you do have is appropriate and is one that you will not regret, because nobody wants to have a life full of regrets. So stay strong, chin up, buttercup. I am right there with you 100%, going through my own storms right now, trying to deal with it all, trying to process it, trying not to fall to pieces in some moments when I'm overwhelmed by it. And there is no shame in that. There's no shame in admitting that, and there is no shame in handling it however you need to handle it. So, I hope you guys like this video. I know lately I kind of have been doing more serious videos. I definitely want to get back to some of the other stuff. Maybe I'll throw something else in there. But I really just record what I feel compelled to record, almost the way that I write what I feel compelled to write. So, yeah. Until next time, subscribe if you haven't already, thumbs up if you liked it, and stay fabulous.